All right, let's do the daggone thing. Hold on, here we go. What's up, people? What's up, people? What's up, people? Oh, you know what? I gotta change something because this could immediately get banned if I don't fix this right now. Hold on 1 second. Tracks. Properties. Yeah, let's fix this right now. Oh, no. It's good. Okay. All right, so YouTube Safe Tracks. What's up, everybody? It's your boy MM2K. Back again. I've been talking docious all week. You know what I'm saying? But man, we got some good news for GFN gamers or those that are interested in the GFN platform today. Wow. Two big pieces of news that have occurred. First, GFN has announced. Here, let me do this. I don't. Come on. Everything is falling apart on me today. I don't know what's going on. First, let's do this. Let's show you guys this. Where's this video? Where's the display one? Is that display? Okay. Is this display one? Nope, that's not display one. Display two. Nope, that's not it. Of course, it doesn't show what it needs to show. Web, group broadcast, web one. All right, so let's fix this. We got to fix this. Because display one has to show you capture element picker thing. Jesus! Where is the display? Okay. Supposed to be the Dell, which that is the Dell, but we're going to switch it. Properties. Let's switch it to the other 1440p. Yeah. Nope, not that one. That one. There we go. No, that's not it either. How come it's not registering the 1440p? That's help us. My computer's acting crazy. All right, now we got it right. Okay, so here goes the article, y'all. And share this out. And let everybody know that we are live because I want to talk about this one. All right. So what I want to address today is I want to talk about the news altogether. I want to give a summary of who we surmise this GFN tier is for and why. And who does it have the potential to pull current gamers from? Now, again, a lot of people will hear this and then they will say, well, why does it got to pull from anybody in M2K? And we'll explain from that. We'll explain that rather, why it will pull from some sources. Okay, but how much is the question? Because I'm out here and I'm seeing things like people are excited. And that's okay. What's up, Romello? What's up, Cold Blood? He said most play some damn games for once. Hey, Cold Blood, I'm on that Far Cry and that Division 2 every day, brother. You need to stop it. You check out my I hope you showed me some support and checked out my quality stream series on PC. I'm showing you PC master crumbs how to really do it. Go ahead and run and tell it. I called y'all the PC master crumbs. I'm showing y'all how to do it. Check out my go to MM2K videos, by the way. Shameless plug. Check out my quality stream series. We got some of the crispiest videos next to Project Storm, of course, but we got some of the crispiest videos of PC gameplay you're gonna have out there. We really show you how PC gaming is to be done. Okay, so shout out to everybody in the chat here. I want to do this because I definitely want to. Hold on. Let me put the chrome up here. Oh, I know. Look at that. That probably blinded y'all. Give me a second. I'm going to fix it. Hold on 1 second. All right, there we go. It's fixed again. Okay, so now that I did that, let's do this. I got to, golly, bet you by golly. Let's do a window capture. You're watching the sausage being made. And chroma. Let's just put chroma. I ain't got time to be doing all this. Well, it's this and it's that, and it's this and it's that. Chroma. Oh, hold on. Let me well, no, I can't. I got to be on this window while I'm doing it. So we got the chroma there, and then we got to go to filters. Oh, hold on. Oh, Jesus. What did they do to the new edit filters? We're going to fix it. Don't worry. We're fixing it. Color correction. Chroma key. Done. There we go. Now it's fixed. Why did I have to do that? Because it allows me to do swanky stuff like this. Hold on. If it lets me pop it up. Welcome. I am MM2K of PNTS Network and Stadia Dosage and Cloud Gamer Chronicles, here with another show. Welcome to CGC episode 10. Oh, come on. I did something the other day to my keyboard, and I don't know what I did. If somebody has experienced this, let me know. I hit something on my keyboard, and now it doesn't work right. Like when I hit certain keys, what it'll do is it'll open up windows, close stuff. Like when I hit the T key will open up stuff and close stuff now. And I've unplugged. I don't know what I've done. So, and what I have is, if anybody else has the Corsair, like the Corsair Mechanical with all the lights and stuff on it, this thing was expensive. And I can't figure out what the hell I did. It got all these G keys on the side. If y'all know what I did, help me out. With that said, all right, we're almost ready. Let's go here. I gotta add that same window here. Window browser, window capture. We're gonna talk about it. Chroma, add source. Bada bing, there it goes. Let's test it out again and see if we can do it here now. Stop it. Stop that. We go. We're good to go. Okay. One last thing I want to do, because the chat should be showing up here and it's not. I don't know what that's about. I want the chat to pop up here. So what we're going to do is we're going to... That's weird. I don't know. You know what? Let's delete this chat box. Because maybe that chat box is designed for when I'm on Twitch. Let's add this one. Let's add a new chat box. Add source. And somebody type something in the chat. Let's see if it'll pop up here. Hopefully it will. Let's see if it'll pop up. There we go. There we go. Cold Blood Sensei with his lovely words. He says, "Most in PC is a bad combo every time he streams." Hey, bro, no. Hey, Cold Blood, you will be amazed. Go to MM2K videos and watch it, man. See, that just proves that you're not supporting your bro. This, for those of you that are not familiar with, this is my bro, my longtime bro, Cold Blood Sensei. And Cold Blood, we could use your help on Division 2. We got Old Dirty Blasters up. You haven't been around, man. What are you doing, man? This is my longtime bro, Cold Blood Sensei. And he was there when I was having these problems. He said I was balling on a budget. And I had a 2070 and I couldn't get 60 frames. Even on 1080p, it was horrible. It was horrible. Cold Blood laughing at me as I'm going, oh man. He remembers that. Bro, them days is over, Cold Blood. They're over. Go to MM2K videos and check out Anders is cracking me up. Go to MM2K videos, Cold Blood on YouTube, and check out my quality stream series. I even had to brand it. I even had to put a name to it. They so daggone crisp. So yeah, hold on. Let me copy this. One last thing to copy. Connect. The life of a streamer is not easy, y'all. I don't have an hour to be. It's Cold Blood, but it's comment. No, bro. I'm telling you. You got to check it out, man. All right, one last display I got to fix and add this chroma key to is this one. And let's talk about it. Hold on, window. Come on, window display. Window capture. Add source. Chroma. Add source. Let's test it out. My brother Cold Blood Sensei smart behind comment. There you go. And it's all good. We're all ready to go now. All right. So let's go back here. Let's go back to the display. Get this. Accept. I accept your cookies. Okay. Stream me up. GeForce Now RTX 3080 brings new generation performance to cloud gaming. New GeForce Now RTX 3080 membership stream up to 1440p at 120 frames per second on gaming PC and Mac with ultra low latency that rivals local gaming. It reads as follows. GFN Thursday welcomes you to the next generation of cloud gaming, boldly going where no cloud gaming service has gone before with new GeForce Now RTX 3080 membership. The new memberships will stream from the world's most powerful gaming supercomputer, the GeForce Now SuperPod, giving gamers their own high-performance cloud gaming rig. GeForce Now RTX 3080 members will enjoy streaming at 1440p resolution and 120 frames per second on PCs and Macs, and 4K HDR at 60 frames per second on Chill TV with ultra-low latency that rivals many local gaming experiences. Founders and priority members in North America, Western, now have early access to pre-order I didn't even realize this. Oh, well, I didn't know. Yeah, okay. All right, let me stop. Founders and priority members in North America and Western Europe have early access to pre-order GeForce Now RTX 3080 memberships with 6 months memberships available at $100. Memberships will be limited at launch. An exclusive pre-order window gives our earliest supporters the first opportunity to upgrade to the next generation. Oh, man. Jeez. I'm going to explain this a little bit. But GFN Thursday means more games for more gamers and started today to what Anders was saying. Where's Anders at? He said, yo, is that newborn in your pocket? Give me that ish. GFN Thursday means more games for more gamers. And starting today, members can stream the wildly popular New World, which is one of 9 games joining GeForce Now library this week. Next gen gaming everywhere. GeForce Now is the easiest to upgrade for gamers that want to transform their low spec devices into high performance PC rigs. Members play the latest PC games without waiting for downloads, installs, and patches. The GeForce Now RTX 3080 memberships delivers instant upgrade in performance for common hardware, a 70 times increase for average laptops on Steam, 13 times for M1 based Airbook, MacBook Air, and 7 times for the most popular desktop configurations on Steam. And again, it goes up to 1440p, 120 frames per second on PC, 1600, 120 frames per second on MacBook, and 4K HDR at 60 frames per second on NVIDIA Shield TV. So that's the story, y'all. That's the story of what's going on. Let me see if I can find the chat. All right. Let me close that out. I'd rather have the chat here. Cold Blood, I talked about this yesterday. He said, just get back on Z shows, brother. I explained this yesterday that it's not that I don't want to get back and do the mainline broadband bully shows. It's the timing. You know, Z is still on D-boy hours, if you know what I mean. Yeah, I mean, my bro don't get up till 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm shutting it down 2 hours from that, with some rare exceptions. Because I got to be up 2 o'clock in the morning, cold blood. I got to take my wife to work. And then we're moving, and we're moving farther out a little bit, so I might have to shut things down at 4 now, you know, just to get out a little bit earlier, you know. So, and that's the way that it's going to be until I got to go back in the office, which I'm fighting like hell. But I might be losing that battle. So if I lose that battle, then my wife is going to have no choice. We're going to have to figure out something about how get my wife to work. And then we'll have no choice but to reconfigure my schedule, because they want me to come back in the office and work a normal 9 to 5. And I like doing what I'm doing right now. I ain't got to work a normal 9 to 5. I can drop my wife off at work, come back home at 4:30, work until 6:30. Because everything that I got to do takes maybe 2-3 hours max, because I'm really I'm at an independent, I can't, well, it's okay for me to say this. I'm at an independent contractor status right now. And so I just boop it out. Might go take me a quick nap, get up, go get my coffee and my tea. And then the rest of the day I can dedicate to this until 5 p.m. You understand what I'm saying? That's my day. So because of that, I can't be up 10, 11 o'clock at night arguing with post-ups crazy behind. You know what I mean? I got to be in bed by then, you know. So we'll see. We'll see how things work out. But I brought that up because yesterday I mentioned cold blood. Sometimes they be having me going here, man. I can't lie. I was dealing with it this week. They sitting there trying to down NPD, bro. Cold blood knows. Because he's part of the general gaming populace. He gets it. They telling me NPD ain't the B's G's of gaming statistics. Like, sometimes I roll the eyes in my head roll back so far. They are like, yo, this is going to take too long to bring this wing forward to get to understand what you're saying. What you're saying is Martian to them, because they're not even familiar with the normal gaming stuff. I ain't gonna front. Sometimes it does get frustrating, but I keep trucking on, brother, because I'm stubborn like that. You know what I mean? But they was up here last couple days trying to battle me over whether NPD, even though it's based in North America, can help you determine what games or what platforms are going to be successful. Cold Blood Sensei will tell you. You ain't even got to look at what consoles are sold. What do you do, Cold Blood? You go look at the chart-topping games. You see PlayStation, Nintendo, PlayStation. So those are the platforms that are winning the day. And it don't matter where you're at on the globe. NPD is the B's G. So if you got a platform that you're like, okay, we're trying to reach a target demo with what we got. I'm not saying it's the only way to success, as we're going to see here with GFN, because that's not on GFN's stratosphere as far as what's happening on NPD. But that is on Stadia's stratosphere, because they're like, look, what are them games that are charting on NPD? Because you got Phil Spencer, Aaron Greensburg. Hey, look, I had to show him yesterday, Cold Blood. Thank you, Cold Blood. NPD matters. That's it. That's normal where we come from. Even if you don't agree on the platform of choice like me and Cold Blood, that's it. It's common. It's like doubting Google being the top search engine. Yeah, I mean, and it's them frustrating moments like that really make me want to do like LeBron. You know how they was asking him questions in that one meme, and he just stood up, grabbed his suitcase, and walked out. But it just comes with the territory. All right, enough about that. Me brown nosing my brother Cold Blood Sensei. I missed him. I ain't seen him in a while. So now we talked about the story. Who is this new GFN tier for? Well, if you're a cloud gaming, like this is awesome news. If you're a cloud gaming enthusiast and you want them frames and you want to get the best native resolution out of those frames as you can. So basically, if you're already a GFN, if you're already a GFN user, but you're a hardcore cloud gamer, what do I mean by that? Is that 90% of your interaction with GFN is based upon, well, rather, let me say it like this. If 90% of your your PC gaming is reliant upon GFN, or if they're not even 90%, but if a heavy majority of your PC gaming is reliant upon GFN, then, and you're a hardcore like resolution frames buff, here you go. Give it a shot. You know what I'm saying? So this is who this definitely is for. Okay. Now let's talk about who this has a potential to pull from other platforms, because we can't ignore the fact that there are people that are eyeballing this from other platforms. Now, what we have to do is we got to be honest. This price is hefty for the atypical cloud gamer. You're talking about $200 a year. You know what I'm saying? Out the bat, and that's before you even buy the game. So that's buying an Xbox. That's buying a 8th generation console every year now. You know what I'm saying? You're buying a console every year. Where the atypical cloud gamer is looking for that lower barrier of entry. Now, when I say that, that's not me digging on GFN. That's me helping to illustrate who its core demographic is. Its core demographic is not going to be the gamer, the cloud gamer that came into cloud gaming for the economical benefits. So with that being said, well, hold on. We got our good friend Ben from Cloud Tripping. He says, hold on, let me highlight his comment. He says, it's gonna pop up. Why does it take for long to pop up here? He says here's the problem with NPD's gaming charts. It doesn't cover no, you're wrong, Ben. Ben, you're wrong. Come on, guys. Cold blood. Get this help my friend. Ben. This is the problem. And again, I'm not trying to be mean when I say this, because it's not about us fighting and all that other stuff. But this stuff is important. Like where it says it doesn't cover digital sales, Ben, it doesn't cover digital sales for certain games. Not all games. Let me see if I can pull this up. Oh, dear Lord. And I'm not trying to be mean, but Ben, as talking heads out here, we got to know this stuff. We got to know this stuff, because when we go, like if you were to go live and say that, somebody's going to believe that. And NPD doesn't exclude digital games in entirety. And you would know that if we did our research, because we got Phil Spencer, we got Yoshida, we got the heads of these gaming companies that proclaim when they're placing on NPD. Why would they be proclaiming when they're placing on NPD if it excluded digital sales? So we gotta, it's just an educational thing that someone like me who's been doing this for years, I do kind of like double take that we're not familiar with this stuff. No, I'm about to show you, good brother. Hold on. Dear Lord. Help us. I'm about to pull it out. Give me a moment. And I'm sorry, guys. I know we were there. We were there. I just want to. This is important because Ben is part of the gaming community, the part of the talking gaming community. So it's important for him to understand this. All right, here we go. I'm gonna put it on the screen right now, Ben. Okay. Do you see where it says digital sales not included? That has an asterisk next to it. That means that digital sales are not included for games that have asterisks next to them. The games that don't have that have asterisks next to them are the Nintendo games for the most part, and only NBA 2K22 as far as the multiplats that I registered in the article that I did. If you look here at the bottom, it says physical and full game digital from Nintendo eShop, PlayStation, Steam, and Xbox platforms for publishers and digital leader panel ranked on dollar sales. So in general, they capture digital sales. They just don't in these instances. And it's okay if we misread that. But the point that I'm trying to illustrate, Ben, is, yeah, it's okay, brother, I know. The point that I'm trying to illustrate, Ben, is that this shouldn't even be a question. If we want to talk about games, we gotta know this stuff. All right? So we gotta know this stuff, guys. So again, right here, digital sales not included only for these specific games. You see what I'm saying, Cold Blood Sensei? And I'm not trying to be mean, but even Cold Blood Sensei, who doesn't create, well, he streams, but he's not a talking head like us. He, instead of talking Cold Blood, wants to just play the damn games. He knows this. That's why Cold Blood Sensei, the Cold Blood Senseis and the people from the general gaming populace, this is why they laugh at us. This is why my brother Z, as Cold Blood Sensei, said, why are you wasting your time over here? Because we want to do all this battling and all this fighting and all this discrediting somebody else when we don't have the information that we need at our juncture. If we're talking about games, we need to know about NPD, period. I can't echo Cold Blood's sentiments better than this. NPD matters. That's it. We just got to do the research. And I'm not to be, and Ben, nothing against you, brother. I have no problem with you. I'm not upset at you or angry at you or anything like that. I'm just dumbfounded at the lack of realization of how far we're separated from important data sets when we don't know this. This is important. This ain't got nothing to do with MM2K or Stadia or whatever. If Stadia dies tomorrow, the words that I'm saying are true. This is ultra important to be self-aware of this. And if we're self-aware of stuff like this, this will help curb some of the more loftier things that we have to say that do get people in the uproar. Because when people who are acclimated to this, they say, no, that's not the truth. Let's look, you know what you get what I'm saying. So, sorry guys that I took the time away from that, because we're talking about GFN. It's not about MM2K trying to get on the soapbox of other content creators. Shout out to Ben. Shout out to what him and his people do. It's just me. I'm very serious about knowing these data sets. Hey, Vic. Good to see you, good brother. All right. So back to the situation at hand. Hold on. Let me go back. I'm sorry, guys. So, where was I at? Yeah. So this price is hefty. So in all likelihood, it's going to be for the hardcore cloud enthusiasts, which is good, because your hardcore gamers are the ones that help usher in a lot of the new stuff and help, you know what I'm saying, and help promote a lot of the new stuff. So that's cool. I could make the argument though that this new tier isn't going to be for the atypical cloud gamer because of the price, right? And I could also make the argument, and I'll show you why, that this is not going to be for the atypical GFN user either. Here's why I say that. According to the data that analysts have, and according to the data that analysts have put out there, analysts like Ampere Group, and it was another group that was out there recently that had talked about this. I forget who it was. The majority of GFN's user base are people that engage with the platform at a non-subscription level, meaning they're PC gamers that, well, Ben, here's what I'm going to say. You're going to want to rewind from when you went and got your call. I don't want to spend because the people are here to talk about games and talk about GFN. And I just put up the chart and I showed to where you misinterpreted the chart. Cold blood, I might be coming back. No, let me stop. I'll do this one more time. And I'm sorry, guys. We'll get back to this. But Ben is a fellow content creator. So I just feel the dire need to make this point very clear. Ben, you those of you that have that understanding misinterpreted what the chart says. I have here highlighted digital sales not included with an asterisk next to it. That means that the games that have the asterisk next to it that I've highlighted here are the games that don't have the digital sales included. So all that means is that these the Nintendo games would chart higher. They would be higher on the list. But for physical and full game digital from Nintendo eShop, PlayStation, Steam, and Xbox for publishers in the digital leader panel, they're generally ranked unless they have this asterisk next to them. So we have select Nintendo games, and for some reason NBA 2K, and there's some other games out there here and there too, the digital sales are not included. That is not for all digital sales, okay? So understand that. Make sure that that's understood. So hopefully that makes sense now, okay? All right. And if there was more that you needed to catch up on, please just go back to the video because I really don't want to keep disrupting this for the viewers. All right. So well, here's the thing, Ben, and that's my question. And I don't want to speak out of order. And Ben, you should know what I mean. Why ain't Ben? My program don't like your comments, Ben. Oh, here it goes. Okay, that's my question, Ben. And I don't want to speak out of order. You should know what I mean. We didn't hear anything about a monthly option. Ben, no, Ben, what are you talking about? Get off the digital sales. It's just they track the digital sales for all of the multi-plats that I have that was part of my list. The list was based upon multi-plats. All the multi-plats that chart on the top 20 games That's there, except for NBA 2K22 and rare exceptions, very rare exceptions. So that does not change the dynamic of the chart. I will tell you to defer to what cold blood, like this right here. Now I don't even want to go there because it sounds like that I'm trying to talk down to you, but what I'm trying to help you understand, good brother, is that NPD data is solid. I've seen it, and cold blood have seen it. Many of content creators try to doubt NPD because it didn't jive with the narrative that they wanted to throw out there. And they lost their followers instantaneously. Even people that agreed with them said, no, this won't go. Now, people that are trying to doubt this now have the luxury because we're pretty much ignored. You know what I'm saying? Like, the general gaming populace don't give a damn what we say because they aren't into cloud gaming. But what I'm warning you is once this does get into the general cloud gaming space, trying to make arguments like that is a death sentence. So for multiplats, they're generally counted except for a few exceptions here and there. All right. But as far as the monthly options are concerned, I haven't seen anything about the monthly options. And I'm going to just leave it at that. So I don't know if monthly options it doesn't tell the whole story of what, Ben? What doesn't it tell the whole story of? Like, and people are like, what are you talking? It's like, if you don't leave Ben alone. But this is a golden opportunity. Hold on. I'm not arguing NPD's data is wrong. I'm just saying it doesn't tell the whole story of what? Ben, honestly, that doesn't make any sense. If we're talking about multiplats, what does it matter if Nintendo's not releasing their exclusive digital sales? That doesn't make any sense. The point that capturing this data and looking at it shows is that the argument that Stadia does not have the games for its core demographic is wrong. And too many of us have been dying on that hill without counterbalancing that argument versus real-time data. Stadia's core demographic are those that play these games. It's just Stadia's job to get more of them. But at this point in time, they have more of them than all the other cloud platforms. Now, I get the argument of, well, let's throw in free-to-play games, because free-to-play games aren't on here, and fine. But here's the problem with that. We don't know, without the specific data, how all the free-to-play games would chart on here. We know, now we can safely say that Fortnite would chart, at least on the monthly portion. I don't know in the rolling calendar portions or the year-to-date portions if Apex Legends would chart. Because Apex Legends goes up and down when you look at the data. If you're going off of players based upon platforms, it goes up and down. And which games do you take out in place of it? Because we don't know the player base there. So the thesis isn't debunked. The thesis is the argument that Stadia does not have the games for its core demographic, which is the disenfranchised casual gamer. You can argue they need to get more games, but when you say, oh no, they don't have the games and these other platforms have the games that they want, that's not a true argument. For their core demographic, which NPD is a pivot from, they got the games. They got more so than the other cloud platforms. And even if you do just superficially throw the chart topping, if you superficially throw the chart topping free to play games in there, you got Fortnite, you got Apex Legends, you might have Roblox here and there, depending upon the month. And then the year-to-date litmus is way off. I've already measured that. The only constant is Fortnite across the board. Fortnite would chart on every single one across the board if you completely put the litmus upside down and made it players instead of sales. But then what type of players? Players that ping in? Because a free-to-play game, I could just go in and ping in and try Fortnite, but I can tell you MM2K is not playing Fortnite, but I would register as a player. So is that a legitimate one opposed to going to a chart where you have to go and buy an item and show your allegiance to that item? I have no allegiance to Fortnite. I have no allegiance to Roblox if I just go in and ping in and try and play it. So that's the argument, or that's the purpose of this. And I'm not saying that you said that Stadia sucks. What you're saying is NPD doesn't tell the full picture. It tells the full picture of the point we were making. Now, if you have another point that you're trying to make, like, well, there's more players that play. That's not the point that we were trying to make. We were making the point to the argument that Stadia doesn't have the games for its core demographic, but you can find more of them elsewhere. That statement's not true. And it's better to use a litmus that has more clear data than trying to throw free-to-play games in there where the data is all over the place. And this is the litmus that was used. NPD. You don't get any more solid than that. All right, Ben? I know, Tommy Rocks, I get it. Absolutely. It was a stupid argument, but unfortunately, it was making the rounds and it was being addressed. And that's why it's so bewildering why there was an attack on that article, because it was just addressing that argument. It wasn't addressing that Stadia has the best games or it's the best platform. It wasn't addressing that, and it was very clear in that. What it was addressing was the argument that people were saying that Stadia doesn't have the games that its core demographic wants to play. And we showed you where the core demographic pivots for the most part for the games that they want to play for Stadia. If you do a similar exercise for GFN, where you take GFN's core demographic and use the data sets that are relevant to that, you're going to get similar results for GFN. You're going to get similar results for Xbox because their gamers in the cloud want to play those Game Pass games. And the same for Amazon. That's what makes the counter narrative to this article kind of on the ridiculous side. Stadia should expand their core demographic if they want to succeed. NPD tracks retail-based data. Ben. Now this by far is the craziest thing that I've heard. And here's why. And I promise, guys, we're getting back to GFN. We're getting back to GFN after this because now this is going off the rails. That's crazy because it's about retail means that you purchase something and there's $1 investment made. And Stadia's business model is similar to those platforms that are successful off of pivoting from data like this. Let me put it back up on the screen. So if you have a model where people can buy a la carte games, not just do subscription models, then of course you want to pivot off of this. They're not GFN. They're not a service that gets paid solely off of player subscriptions. They get paid off of what? This. And you can't be everything to everybody. I can make the same argument for GFN that they need to expand because most of their player base aren't paying for the service. That's ridiculous. They have a business model, they have a product placement, and they're going after the people that they feel in the long run, when the ceiling is raised on cloud gaming, that they'll benefit from. Many would argue a business model that's already proven to be successful, one that follows NPD's charts as a barometer because it's successful for PlayStation. You trying to say PlayStation ain't successful? It's successful for Xbox. It's successful for the Switch. People would argue that's the best way to start from and then pivot from there, opposed to a subscription model to where they just argued a day or two ago. They don't know if it's going up or if it's going down, and it missed its mark. It was 11% behind on its market projections, its own internal market projections. Man, that argument makes no sense. Ultimately, if any of these platforms want to be long lasting, they don't want to just be stuck in one situation or another. Yes, they want to expand because their goal is to reach 1 billion gamers ultimately. But right now, while the ceiling is low, you can't be everything to everybody because you're just going to spill money. So you find your niche market, you market to that niche market, you provide to that niche market, and hopefully that niche market will give back to you to help subsidize your growth. That doesn't make sense. And when you do that, you're downplaying NPD. Anybody that has the games or most of the games that are on NPD that has a model that is similar to those games that are showing up on NPD, which Stadia has, we'll see it has a good baseline for success. You're downplaying NPD again, and that has to stop because the day, even when MM2K goes away and I turn into dust and cloud gaming goes on the main stage, when you say stuff like that, it's an immediate death sentence. All these cloud platforms for the long term have to expand their niche user base right now. GFN has to too. They got to find a way to get more people invested and involved in subscribing to the platform because most of their users are people that aren't subscribed. But it doesn't mean that GFN is in trouble. They're fine. This is a niche market right now. No, Ben, look, we can disagree all you want. You're not disagreeing with me. You're disagreeing with gaming norm. NPD matters. And NPD is the G's B's right now as the barometer for success. So more games that you have that chart on NPD, the more success you're guaranteeing for yourself. But when you're out, this has nothing to do with Stadia. When you're out here arguing against NPD because it doesn't matter, because NPD is the most proven model currently. Yes, do we want other models to be successful in the future? Sure. But that's vaporware right now. That's a wish upon a star. What is successful right now is the stuff that shows on NPD. So if you're a niche market, it's not a horrible idea to pivot from this to what's already successful. That's not how it works in the market, Ben, and you're a smarter guy than that. I just feel like you're trying to make this argument because maybe things were said in the past that you didn't kick the tires on, and now that this data is out here and more prevalent to the cloud community, now we're trying to find ways to work around it. No, don't do that. Just learn, okay, I wasn't aware of that, now I'm aware. Maybe that's going to help acclimate my thinking in the long run. It's happened to me. It's happened to me even in the cloud. I had to get schooled by people in the cloud. A lot of my ideas were too lofty, they were too underhanded, and I grew in the process. It's just a matter of us growing in the process. We weren't familiar with NPD and the importance of NPD. I showed everybody yesterday that Phil Spencer and the heads of these game divisions sing from the rooftops on NPD. They are successful now, particularly PlayStation, because look, when you look at the list, it's riddled with PlayStation games, and all these games pretty much are on PlayStation. If they're not on PlayStation, they're on Switch. And those are the most successful companies right now. There's nothing wrong pivoting from current success. Success mimics success. So it ain't about Stadia. This is the general gamer side of me that is bewildered at hearing another talking head in gaming trying to belittle NPD. That's insane to me. And I'm trying to warn you, brother, I love you. I'm trying to warn you. That is a death sentence. And you're too smart for that. All right, I'm done. Let's move on. Wrong screen, I'm sorry. It says, normally I'm the one starting to annoy most, but Ben, you were doing a great job. No, it ain't about that. Cold blood, you get it. It's the whole NPD thing. It ain't got nothing to do with Stadia. Stadia can shut down tomorrow. And like I said, I got my powerful PCs, or whatever. And I'm not saying that like it will. I'm just saying. But the general gaming side of me, bro, I know that it's due to an ignorance to how this works, because we in the cloud gaming community, we created our own silo, our own bubble, and sometimes we're talking within our own halls, right? But they just don't understand what's coming to them once they get out once they get out of the little small hall and they go into the main stage, they start talking like this, it's going to be an immediate death sentence. And a lot of these people are smart. They know the ins and outs of the cloud gaming technology and stuff like that. I just hate to see it happen to them because they're talented. They got many talents. But you got to know your stuff. You got to know your basics is what I'm trying to say. When you don't know the basics, when you don't know the basics, and you're trying to deny it, it's a problem for you and a problem for me. I just hate to see smart, talented people fall into that trap, into that stubborn trap. All right, now we're done. Okay, Ben, you done took up 39 minutes of my time. Shout out to Ben. All the best, Ben. Okay, so. Who is this new tier 4? Again, not the budget conscious cloud gamer. And as it relates to, and I wouldn't even say the general GFN gamer. Now, why am I saying that? Which again, this isn't a bad thing. Let's see here. See if I can find this comment. This capsulizes the point that I'm about to make. There it goes. Okay. Now let's do it. All right. Let me show you something. Is that it? There we go. All right. So this is the infamous PMS Jordan. Again, a lot of you in the cloud community may not know who she is. But that's because we're in our own little halls. PMS Jordan is a major player on the social media scene in the PC master race, and she is a frequent GFN user. She's even schooled me on some stuff I didn't know. She schooled me that GFN was at 120 frames per second a while back when I didn't even know that, and I was using it like more often than her at some point in time. I've been using GFN for years. I was using it when it was in beta. Shout out to the good brother D-Batch. Shout out to my brother The Real Maslin, who put me down with GFN in 2018. And I had some janky setup here. I was trying to play Division 2. Not Division 2, the first Division. I was trying to make my MM2K version of cloud gaming. I had Division playing on my Xbox, and I used a remote client from my PC to stream it from my Xbox to my PC, and then from work, I used a remote client to stream it from my PC to my phone. And I was showing people at work, some of the IT people at work, and I'm like, look, I'm playing Division on my phone. And they're like, I mean, it's laggy and stuff like that, but they're like, oh my God, how are you doing that? You know what I'm saying? I thought I was doing something. So I was talking about it with the other content creators that I'm in the DMs with, and they said, brother, like, you ain't got to do all that. Like, I don't know if Division's going to be available, but there's this thing called GeForce Now that you can try. So I've been regularly using GeForce Now since 2018. All right. But what I didn't know, because I didn't have output to utilize it, I didn't know that GFN had 120 frames per second capability, and PMS Jordan had let me know. Here's what she has to say, though, at the announcement of this. She says, this is actually extremely dope. Amazing for people with aging hardware. You can get fantastic performance for $5 a month, or free if you only want to play an hour at a time. So she thought originally what I had thought, that when GFN would make an upgrade, it would be part of the original package. But she was wrong about the $5 a month, even if that was the case, because the $5 a month is only for the people that are grandfathered like her and I. It's not for the general gamer, because the general gamer, or I forgot what they call that tier, they play at $10 a month. They got to pay $10 a month, which is not bad at all. But then she read and she said, oh, never mind. The 3080 version is a lot more expensive, $100 for 6 months. So she said, never mind. And I laughed. I said, yeah, I was about to say, Jordan, laugh a lot. I'll be talking about this on here. Now, why did she say never mind? Because PMS Jordan has a powerful rig, or she has a good, she regardless of what she has, she prefers the game on her rig, and she doesn't mind upgrading because she wants that native play. And the general gaming populace just doesn't trust cloud gaming right now. As much as we're educated on the situation, I included, and those of us, including Ben in the chat, except Cold Blood Sensei, boo him. No. But all of us here, we understand that there are just parts of cloud gaming that rival dedicated device gaming. And therefore, there's a benefit to it. A benefit to it that even in the near future, people like PMS Jordan could see. And she's tried everything. She has Stadia. She uses GFN regularly, but she still chooses ultimately to play on her hardware because she's getting better performance even than what's offered here, and that's what she wants. So she's not going to make an additional $200 investment to get resolution that she can already get now. And some. She's rather use that $200 towards getting an actual 3080 card that'll give her native RTX 3080 gameplay. And I'm not saying this to diminish it, so let me finish it. Let me finish where I'm going with this. But PMS Jordan, per analyst data, does represent the majority of people that are on GFN, which is okay right now, because the more people that get exposed to GFN, whether they're paying or not, the potential as GFN makes these upgrades and they find a sweet spot with the performance and the price, that people like PMS Jordan is going to say, well, when that 4090 comes out, maybe I'll just pay the $18.99 a month, because that 4090, let me see if I do the math, the 4090 is going to be $1,200. But if I just pay $200 a month, I can use that $1,200 towards towards 6 years of this new tier. That, you know, if GeForce Now comes out with a tier that is comparable to the 4090 whenever that releases, if it's at a reasonable price and it has performance that is comparable to that, she might decide in the long run that I'm not going to upgrade. This is where I'm going to go. And that's the power of GFN having that free tier. And that's why I say, even though they could even be bleeding money on the whole transaction, but ultimately it's a smart move for GFN because it exposes people to the platform to when that time comes and things are comparable 1v1, PMS might just say, you know what? For 6 years of this tier of GFN, I'm going to go with that instead of limiting myself to this specific piece of hardware that'll be obsolete and before those 6 years are up. So that's why GFN's approach is fine for what GFN is doing, and why I was going back and forth with Ben earlier, because it's different strokes for different folks. These platforms all have different lanes that'll work for them. This approach wouldn't necessarily be smart for Stadia or anybody else, but it's smart for GFN. And what it does is, because of GFN's business model, is it increases their potential saturation for when they are a 1v1 match. So even if Stadia does do XYZ, and PMS Jordan can say, well, I'm more familiar with GFN, I'd rather go with that one. You see what I'm saying? But right now, PMS Jordan represents the majority of the player base on GFN, according to analysts, that just don't pay for the model. So this new service isn't for people like her per se. But it's all gravy. Because, and then it is for, well, before I go into who it is for again and re-solidify that, as far as the other cloud platforms are concerned, it wouldn't be for the core demographic of the Amazon player base or the Stadia player base, because they appear to be the price conscious gamers. Now, for Amazon and Stadia, there are wings of their demographic that this is for. And that is the hardcore wing. That is the tech enthusiast. Now, this would have been an automatic, oh, hell yeah, for them if it wasn't for the price. But it is what it is. But many will be able to indulge still, and they'll be willing to indulge still, as you see in our poll. It's like split 50-50 right now. And don't forget our poll. It's split 50-50, and the question is, do you plan on getting the new 140p 120 FPS tier of GFN for 6 months at $99? We got 54 votes where it's split 50-50, see? And that's one of the highest vote totals that we've had. So there's a lot of hardcore enthusiasts that even know that this program is live, but the average core gamer for Stadia, and I would argue for Amazon, don't even know who the hell MM2K is. a Stadia Dosage is, a Cloud Gamer Chronicles. They just play the games because it's a cheap way to get access to some of the games that they've recognized being advertised that they thought were cool. And some would probably make the argument that if you're a Ubisoft Plus subscriber, you might just decide to stay where you're at if you're currently using GFN. Why? Because, excuse me, you would have to slap $200 on top of the whatever you're paying to play via the cloud, or if you're not grandfathered, I think it's $17.99 or whatever. So those prices can get hefty. So if your reason for using the cloud is based upon is a financial decision, like you've been disenfranchised from gaming based upon the cost, this might be a little bit too steep for you. But if you're a hardcore gamer or cloud enthusiast at that, as we all know, price doesn't matter. And GFN knows that as well. That's why they have these in limited supply. They're not opening these up to everybody because they understand, which is smart for them. They understand that there is a niche market within a niche market that this is for. But don't take those words as meaning Stadia or Amazon should ignore this. Because here's the problem that this poses for them. Even though it's not going to rip apart your core gamer base right now, what it does is it takes your most hardcore and it kind of gives them an ultimatum, right? We got to keep it real here. This is what we do. And I'll use Stadia as an example. If you're a hardcore tech enthusiast like myself and a Project Storm, see, Project Storm would be more in danger of this as it relates to Stadia. And I haven't talked to my brother about this yet. So it'll be very interesting to get his ideas on this. But if you're a Project Storm and you woke up this morning and you found out that Riders Republic is only 30 frames per second, guess what? You're like, oh, you know what? Damn it. You're gonna run this risk. I'm gonna cancel my Stadia Pro. I'll deal with Stadia and buy my games a la carte that are there that I can't get elsewhere, that I know perform well. But then you got to think about it, because what they might do is they might cancel their Stadia Pro and they may not even be thinking about those games. Because if I'm a hardcore tech enthusiast, I might have a decision to make. $17 ain't cheap. Even if it's, or not $17. That's if you break the price down monthly. $100 to $200 a year ain't cheap. $100 for 6 months and $200 ain't cheap. That's like buying a console every year. So you might look at your Stadia Pro subscription and you might say, you know what? I'm gonna cancel it. And if 4K is locked at Stadia and you're a tech enthusiast, you might very well say, you know what? I just won't bother with Stadia anymore. And even if I'm not part of the core demographic and I make that decision, and I'm not saying that's a decision I'm making. Even if I'm not part of the core demographic and I make that decision, if I'm someone like a Project Storm and I do something like that, as someone that's in the content creation community, that's powerful. And what we got to understand, or what these platforms, what Amazon and Stadia got to understand, why they got to think about upping their game as far as their output in response to this, is that the overwhelming majority of your content creators are hardcore gamers. I mean, you got to think about it. A content creator is more likely to play on more stuff or be knowledgeable of more platforms. They're willing to spend more. They're already spending more to content create, to get Streamlabs, to get on this, to buy this mic. So money ain't a thing in a lot of cases to your average content creator. If you start having content creators in droves, start showing more they're willing to make that investment. They're showing more GFN and they're playing more GFN. Then who's leading the charge on your exposure on YouTube and stuff like that? If your content creators are now splitting their time or dedicating all of their time elsewhere. So you got to think about that. Even if your core demographic is not hardcore, you can't slight the hardcore gamer. Totally. And we got to be honest about this. Matter of fact, let me pull it up. We got to keep it real here. Let me see if I can find it. Hold on, give me a second. Give me a second. Where's the... Okay, there we go. All right, here we go. Copy. Here we go, y'all. Here we go, yo. Here we go, yo. So what's the scenario? All right. So who is this for? It says, now we understand that the tech enthusiast or the leading edge player, according to Stadia, is the minority sector of the core demographic. They're not the core. The core is the casual gamer. That these offerings, because of the price, they're not going to be too worried about that. Shout out to Xanderings Tech who has subscribed. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, my good friend. Cold as I said, you showing your age. I know. Ain't nothing like no good old Tribe Called Quest, man. Shout out to Cold as Ice, another supporter that's been with me. Bro, have you been seeing me battling this thing on MPD, bro? It's just, it blows our minds. But anyway, but they also identified the first, they said, meaning the people that would help usher this in. The first is the leading edge players that understand the technology of 4K 60 frames per second. They know what HDMI means to quality. They love the ability to take a game they love across any screen. So the first thing that was mentioned was what? Performance. So if I'm a gamer, if I was the one that was helping you usher in this product, like a project store, that's why you hear some frustration in his voice, and I get him. I'm personally not where he's at, But I get where he's coming from. That's why it's important to underline this, because we got to talk. You got to look at it from 5,000 feet, whether you want to or not. We got to keep it real. We got to be honest. These are the tough conversations that have to be had. So if I'm someone like Project Storm, who came in the game, who saw the 4K 60 moniker and saw that performance was put at the forefront, but now, and Harrison says, the second is a more budget-conscious gamer that frankly cannot afford to keep up with the rate of change in hardware generations, whether it's on a PC or on a console. This is the bigger group, admittedly. But you market it to these people first. And they're the first ones that came to the mic. So as you don't have that performance, like when people woke up this morning and found out that Riders Republic is only 30 frames per second on Stadia. These are the people that are looking at, okay, well now, is Stadia just focusing on the more budget conscious gamer? I get it, there's more of them than me, but I don't want to be ignored. And they're turning and they're looking to their left at what GFN just announced. And if you keep having content creators that are hardcore gamers at heart do that, and you don't have an answer, long term, that's going to negatively affect how well you can push the word out about your product. So that's why I'm going to argue today that even though even though that this is not going to rip apart the core of Stadia's gamers, Stadia's not dead. You're going to hear that every time somebody says something. Shadow could be giving out popsicles. Up the death of Stadia. Stadia ain't got no popsicles. They ain't got no money to buy any. But this is significant though. And it speaks to the hardcore gamers that might be feeling disenfranchised. And what it does to them, which you might not see GFN do a monthly thing, even though that might be a gift and a curse. You might not see them do it because enough of these disenfranchised hardcore gamers that stream and promote, if enough of them come over to GFN, why would you? Why would you make it easier for them? You want them to make a tough decision. You want them to make a tough decision that ultimately leads to them abandoning Stadia or Amazon or whoever or Game Pass or whatever, right? Right. So we got to look at this big picture wise. Again, I repeat, I am not saying that Stadia, as far as its core demographic, is going to get ripped apart from this. As it just was identified, the core demographic is the budget conscious gamer that can't afford to get. They're not getting this, and this makes up the bulk of the Stadia gamer. That's, and they're less inclined or in tune with 30 frames per second. I mean, with 60 frames per second. So even regardless of what is behind the 30 frames per second phenomenon that we're starting to see with a lot of these AAA games, it doesn't matter to them. So Stadia is okay there. And therefore, they'll keep making inroads there. But if you're tech-conscious gamer, like a Project Storm, continues to feel slighted, that in the long term is going to diminish some of your returns. You don't want that long term. So ultimately, I surmise, and I'm just guessing, that the Stadia brass is just sitting there waiting to pull out the quote unquote Gen 2 stuff. I think the wait might officially be over. And I get it. Just because you put it out there doesn't mean that people are going to utilize it. We might see a situation that we saw with the Xbox One X, where the Xbox One X was out there and should have killed the PlayStation 4 Pro on paper, but it didn't because people had ulterior motives, or their moneymaker was with PlayStation. So that's where they put their focus. They didn't optimize games for the Xbox One X. I get it. But what you're going to want to do, if you're not doing it already, and they might be doing it already, why they probably part of the big efforts on why they got the head down, while they're trying to get developers more acclimated with the software and stuff, or with the hardware and the development tools, is I'm hoping that number one, you're dusting off the upgraded enhancements, and two, to help alleviate people not optimizing their games for the platform, I hope that you are expanding your efforts to get technicians that will do that will pick up a heavy load of that for them, at least for the bigger games. Like there should be no Ubisoft game on Stadia from here on out that's at 30 frames per second. Like everything that once it comes from Ubisoft should immediately go to these specialists, and they brush it up and they get it to perform at 60 frames per second. You are now entering that territory where this is where you're going to have to do for your tech enthusiasts, because you don't want to completely purge them. And that's what you're running a risk of here. Is every tech enthusiast a risk of that? No, I'm not. And I'm going to explain why in a little bit. You're going to have more that are. And you got to have those people in your corner. Hardcore gamers are vital, even if you are not making a big push on the main stage. Hardcore gamers are vital. And I'm not saying you got to give them something at like as far as codes or t-shirts or coffee, but no. But they gotta, that wing has to pick up your game, look at it, the feel of it has to make them feel good to where they want to show this off. That's what tech enthusiasts want to do. They want to show it off. Just like me. I wanted to show off my new gameplay that I'm doing on my quality stream series. When Division 2 came out, I wanted to show it off to all the naysayers that said you're stupid for playing on Stadia. If you don't give tech enthusiasts things to show off, they go elsewhere where they can't show it off. And if this enhanced version of GFN, if the stream quality is significantly better, then you run a risk of, in the long term, alienating your tech enthusiasts the longer that you wait to give them something to show off, besides something to play. Those are facts. So, again, it's somewhere in the middle, guys. Is Stadia or Amazon dead? No. And we're going to talk about Amazon too in a little bit. I forget about that. Oh my God. That might be the biggest threat to a core demographic, is that whole New World thing. Jesus Christ. But off of the just enhanced performance alone, no. It speaks to a target demo for GFN. It does have the potential of purging away some of the lesser, I don't want to say the lesser, but the smaller groups from other things, from other platforms. But that alone is not a threat, an immediate threat to xCloud, Amazon, or Stadia. Okay. Now, why am I not threatened by this? And don't forget about our poll, y'all. We got 68 votes, and 53% of you said no, you're not getting it. 47% of you said yes. All right, we're getting good results here. All right, so here's my thoughts on all this. Is even though I have GFN and I'm grandfathered as a founder, and I, like I said, I've been playing GFN since 2018, it doesn't get much use from me, honestly. And again, I'm not saying this this is just my personal experience. So what I'm saying to GFN, because I'm a gamer at heart, if GFN wants to change that to get someone like an MM2K, if you want me to be at risk, here are the things that you have to address. And they may say, well, it's not worth the risk because we rather keep things where we're at, and people that are like you, MM2K, just aren't worth it, and that's fine. I'm okay with that. I'm not one of those gamers that bellyache when a platform isn't for me. You're gonna fail because you're not for me. No, it's just not for me. So don't take this as I think GFN is a failure with it. No, GFN is fine, and I think they're doing very well making inroads with their core demographic. As I've talked about other platforms like Stadia making inroads with their core demographic. Everybody can't do everything the same because they have different models. With that being said, GFN is not a big time getter for me. The current version, the stream quality just is too inconsistent because, and here's what the problem is for me. Like, I'll go play a game like Destiny, I'll play Rogue Company, and I'll play Outriders. And I'll be like, oh man, this is great. But I'll go play other games. Like I played Fallout. And then Far Cry 6 for me, oh my God, that was bad for me. Like, my options would be, if you want 4K and you're okay with 30 frames per second, go with Stadia. But if you want performance, Amazon wasn't giving me a locked 60, but it was a stable like 50, somewhere in between 50 and 60. And it didn't have blurry textures and stuff. Like GFN looked good. The lighting on it was good. And and right in front of me, like the hand and the gun looked good. But the draw distances were muddy and horrible. They were, I don't want to say pixelated, but the anti-aliasing was bad. It was horrible. I even tried the super fidelity. That doesn't work. I made it worse. I tried tweaking the performance. I think I showed it. No, I didn't even stream it. I got my settings tweaked and everything, and it was just bad for me. It was a bad experience. So what's it called is too hit or miss for me. But see, here's the thing with Stadia and with Amazon, and why those, right, and really Amazon's really becoming my second preferred way to play cloud next to Stadia, is my thing with with Stadia and Amazon is if I don't like the way that a game plays, when it comes to Amazon, it's just part of the subscription, so whatever. It ain't about no return. I'm not going to return my subscription over one game, so it's like, ooh, I don't like that game. When it comes to Stadia, I can just immediately return it. With GFN, that's where you got to be very careful. I know Steam directly has a policy where I think it's similar to Stadia's, but everybody that has games on PC don't buy from Steam. Like if you buy from a Green Man Gaming, like say for instance, New World. What if New World, I'm like, now right now, I'm eyeing New World because I'm sitting there thinking to myself, I want to play that game, but not at $50 right now. And let's just say Green Man Gaming or CD Keys got it for $23.99. And I'm hopping all over that. The moment I pop that game in and I play it on GFN, if it doesn't perform right, I'm stuck with the game. Because Green Man Gaming and those other platforms, they're not taking those codes back. And trust me, I've had to I accidentally bought a version of Fallout 76 that was for the wrong region. And CD Keys gave me the hardest time returning it. And they said, yeah, because you never activated this code, we'll take it back. So any codes that are provided to you through third-party vendors, you can forget about it. And see, that's the biggest argument that we make when it comes to GFN. Oh, but you get PC gaming is cheaper because you got so many distributors and so forth that you can go to. It's a gift and a curse. Why isn't my chat showing here? Let me do something. Because this chat is bumping. I want the chat to be showing. But it's a gift and a curse. So that's personally why I am leery about GFN. So I want to try this. I do. Because I'm a tech enthusiast. I want to have it in my portfolio. I want to try this new way of GFN. But I'm the price conscious to a degree. Like sometimes I'll get irresponsible until my wife bops me in the head and said, you had no business spending that. So I am I am part of the price conscious wing of the tech enthusiast party, right? And this is just expensive. This is close to buying a console every year for me. And if it was part of my grandfather plan, even if I had to go up to $10 from my grandfather plan, it would be a no-brainer. I would do it. But to go up an additional $12 a month, if you break it down monthly, to pay $200 for, or even to pay $100. I don't want to test this out for 6 months. If I get into this and the native resolution is 1440p, I am getting 120 frames per second, but the stream quality still isn't good. I'm locked in. And I don't want that. I would rather have a month-to-month thing. So if they create a month-to-month thing, I might try it. Or here goes me e-begging. If y'all want to create an MM2K, get GFN Extra, GFN 3080, whatever the hell it's called. If y'all want to create a fund, fine with me. But I can't come out of pocket. If they had a 3-month option for $50, okay, I'd do it. I'd pull the trigger. But I'm not, no. To risk $100 on something that I've already have an experience with that, I can't do it. And I can't go by other people because I've seen other people stream GFN and say, oh, it was great. I enjoyed it. And I looked at their stream and I'm like, that didn't look too hot to me. Or it looked hot to me. I was like, oh, that does look good. And then I go to whip it up and it ain't do good for me. It's too much. It's too much for me to risk. So what I'm going to do is I am going to watch and observe. One person that I do trust is Project Storm. He is not of the cheap wing of the, what's it called? So watch Project Storm as he said. And then here's another thing. This really is what sealed the deal for me of I'm not getting this anytime soon, likely. Even if Project Storm does say that he likes it. I still got to be cognizant because, again, different strokes for different folks. I'm just that leery about the stability of GFN because of my experience. Let's just say if I get it and I don't like it, I lose my grandfather. I'm gonna lose my grandfather tier of GFN. And that's what I think a lot of this might be about. Which I don't blame them. They might be trying to pull a lot of people out of that grandfather tier of GFN, get them to go, ooh, 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 and buy this. And then they got a choice to make. Either they like it or they don't. And if they don't like it, and they just said, I'd rather go to the pro tier, they now got to pay $10. I'm not giving up my grandfather $5 like that. No, Chief. I'm not doing it. Why don't y'all tell me my circle was off? Okay. No, Chief, I'm not doing it. What I was planning to do was use a new account to get into this, hoping that there would be a monthly thing at $17 if you do the math. And I'll throw away $17, but I'm not throwing away $100, not right now. And secondly, I'm not giving up. More importantly, I'm not giving up my $5 tier of GFN, my grandfather price. Why? Because I don't play GFN that much. So if I go into this and I don't like it, and I'm forced to go back as was with GFN, the pro tier, I don't want to pay $10 a month for something that I don't hardly use. Paying $5 a month for something that I don't hardly use ain't a problem. But I don't want to pay $10 a month. So that's what kind of helps identify and underscore who's this for and who isn't, and why Stadia's dead talks are premature. Should Stadia and Amazon ignore this? Hell no, because it has long-term ramifications. At some point in time, they're going to have to crank up the juice too, because over the long term, this creates the risk of them losing their hardcore wing if they don't give them nothing to show off. You got to have something to show off for the hardcore wing. But for people like me, I'm just going to sit back, watch, and observe. Now, a lot of people say, MM2K, you ain't know about this. I mean, I did know about this in advance. I did. And a lot of people will say, you ain't know about this. And I'm going to show you how I knew about this. And it ain't no big deal that I knew about this. A lot of people knew about this. I think I would bet my money that Ben in the chat, Ben knew about this. Ben knew about this in advance. I don't want to. Oh, what? I can't find my. Well, if y'all remember, I can't find it. Damn it! I should have bookmarked it. Why didn't I bookmark it? I meant to bookmark it because I knew my sole purpose was to come back to it. I sent out a tweet not too long ago where I said, meh. Y'all remember that? Matter of fact, that's how I'm going to find it, because I know Rev responded to me. He was like, what? So let me see if I can find Rev's response. Hold on, let me make this smaller. Let me see if I can find it. Stadia Rev. No, that's not. Ooh, no, yeah, it's gonna take forever to find it. But I said, meh. With the purpose of showing that to you guys afterwards. Y'all can find the tweet. Yeah, I'm not giving up my grandfather GFN. There's too much at risk right now, and there's too many uncertainties. I have to see this, and then what that's going to do is going to create a risk that I don't get access to this because there's only limited supply. There's only limited supply, and that's fine. That's okay. It's too risky for me to give up my grandfather tier GFN. And it's too much for me to risk $100 for something that I said I might not like, because if the stream quality still isn't what I would like. Now, if I would have never had that sour taste in my mouth, I would have jumped on this because it would have been brand new for me. But because I had that sour taste from what I'm already getting, like what Stadia is doing with their tech is magical in so many ways. And I saw it with Far Cry 6. Like, when you look at the detail in the stuff in Far Cry 6, opposed to the other cloud platforms, it's like, wow. And we just need them, for the sake of their tech wing, or how did they say it? They said the leading edge players. For the sake of the leading edge players, they're just going to have to crank up the juice. But those are my thoughts on this. We're going to have an article out later about this, talking about pretty much this. But overall, this is significant. Definitely significant. A good move by GFN. And for those that this is for, this is great for them. And it's great for GFN because it's going to put, it gives people something to show off, that it potentially gives people something to really show off that could really make some inroads. You can't downplay that. Like, I've been screaming at the top of my lungs all week about downplaying NPD. You can't downplay the reach that this has with the hardcore cloud enthusiasts. You can't do that. So this is significant on that scope. Let's get to some of this chat real quick. He says, please pay attention to this. Hold on one second. Please pay attention to this. Also, you will not lose your founder's tier if you choose to go back. He says that tweet got deleted. He says you will not, NVIDIA got rid of it. Also, you will not lose your founder's tier if you choose to go back. I'm going to reach out to somebody and figure that out. If that is the case, then I still gotta, that was the nail in the coffin, but I still gotta hear about it. Now, if I hear that it's good from Project Storm, that's gonna be my barometer. I gotta hear from Project Storm. If Storm tells me that it's good, I'll hop on it, I'll try it. But if Storm don't tell me that it's good, because I be seeing mugs out here capping, man. Mugs be out here capping. Oh man, this is some great stable 60 frames per second, and the mug look like digital mustard. I can't do it. Project Storm is gonna keep it real. He's gonna keep it real about Stadia, like he did yesterday. He's gonna keep it real about any platform. So if my brother says it's good, then I'm gonna go with it. Until then, no. And I'm gonna check that out too, Ben. But thanks for the heads up. I'll check that out. That's my problem. Yes, I do. I told y'all by the time 6:30, 7 o'clock hits, my work day is done. My work day is done. I know it's a beautiful thing. Victor says, I dumped GFN and Luna's founders account since I decided to stick with Stadia. I don't regret it though. Yeah, I mean, but see, Vic, I don't know if you're part of the, I don't know if you're a tech enthusiast. If you're a tech enthusiast, this is gonna speak to you. And especially if you woke up this morning and you saw that Riders Republic is at 30 frames per second. This is gonna prompt people. That might have, you couldn't have had you couldn't have had the chips fall into place better for GFN in that regard. Again, not saying that it's going to do any heavy damage to Stadia. Stadia has its core demographic. Why I was shouting and spitting through my pop filter through the duration of me responding to bed is that's the point that I'm trying to get through, is that everybody can't do the same thing. They have their core demographic, and by all intents and purposes, they're doing the things that they need to make inroads to the core demographic. Can they do better? All of these cloud platforms can do better. We can get better stream quality from Xbox across the board. I done seen Ben say it's great for him. He's an outlier. And outlier means, again, I'm not calling Ben a liar. I mean, he's an exception. If you were to poll the majority of cloud gamers, that is not their experience, that xCloud is better than Stadia or anything else to them. That xCloud is the worst experience for them. Even with the recent enhancements. But I'm not doubting that's his experience. That's his experience. But Xbox could do what they got to do across the board to make Ben's experience more prevalent for more people, if not everyone. Amazon got a hit with some more blockbuster games, and they need to bring another channel. If you're running off this channel motif, you got to bring another hard-hitting channel. I would like to see a Square Enix channel. I really hope that Amazon is pitching to Square Enix and get a Square Enix channel would be powerful. Stadia. We know what Stadia got to do. Stadia got to get more games. That NPD chart, ultimately, when it comes to the multiplats, it got to be 100. They got to be 100 today, but ultimately, that's what they got to work towards. It got to be 100. And you got to do something. I mean, you called it out when you first rolled out. You said you promoted to the leading edge players. I get they're not your core demographic or the largest portion of your core demographic, but you got to win their minds and souls back. That's what Stadia got to do. What GFN got to do. GFN got to, they got that stream quality has to get better. And it has to get consistent. And then secondly, what I would do is that thing that I mentioned about the store. That's a real problem that people are going to run across. Hopefully they can work something out with Epic Game Store. You know, where that's less of an issue, where people can buy comfortably. Risk-free. Risk-free purchases through Epic Game Store. So if I find the code, so I ain't got to go to Green Man Gaming. You know, try to work with Epic to influence more discounts through Epic Game Store. Because people are going to want to buy the cheaper version. And I don't think you can really find Epic Game Store codes cheap on Green Man Gaming or CD Keys. The overwhelming majority, if not all of them, are for Steam. So if they could work with the Epic Game Store and you know what I'm saying, people plop in, that's what they should do. Now, this is why MM2K thinks from 5,000 feet and then about always just promoting one platform. I'm a gamer. I play everywhere. So listen, so I give everybody strategies. Just like if y'all listen to our member program, I gave a strategy to Xbox. I said, I think Xbox need to just ditch their current infrastructure. They need to go buy Shadow. and they need to work off a shadow. If Xbox and use all of their x86 or the PC versions of games to power their cloud. If Xbox did that, oh my God, they would leapfrog everybody. I would feel. Because Shadow was killer. It's just that the price, Shadow, can you imagine Game Pass combined with the power of Shadow? And I'm not talking about just PC Game Pass. I'm saying Xbox making a hard effort that everything that is available on the console Game Pass is available on PC Game Pass, and they just use that to port via or to use via Shadow, and you just use that technology. I gave that advice out a little bit. Here goes my advice for GFN. Team up with Epic Game Store a little bit further. Because Epic Game Store has a divine interest into you. Y'all all are working together. Y'all, Epic Game Store, GFN, and Tencent, if you haven't realized, they're all like kind of in this inner circle. Epic Game Store, Tencent, not Tenet. Tencent is a minority owner of Epic. And Tencent is also working with NVIDIA to create the Chinese version of GFN. I don't know if it's already been rolled out or not. So they're all in this circle together. They all have combined interests. So what I would do for the Epic GeForce Now wing is you work with them and you get Epic for GFN subscribers, specifically for GFN subscribers, especially for this more expensive tier. Create a loyalty program to where if they buy the game off of Epic, they get 10% off. And Epic talks all this stuff about, oh, we're for the devs and the publishers. They should be wanting to do this because they consider Google and Amazon so greedy in the cloud, they should want to do this. This is what I would do. Now that would be monster. And a lot of those concerns that I have would inch me closer to saying, okay, maybe I'll risk that 100. Because if I know that I can buy off the Epic Game Store at prices that are comparable to Green Man Gaming or whatever, based off of my being part of this, that might win the day for me. So GFN needs to do something on the storefront thing, and then they got to do something as far as the stream quality is concerned. So everybody can do something extra, but it doesn't mean that as a 1% business, any of them are in trouble. They're not. The ceiling is too low. It's too niche right now. They're just trying to build. So that's my thoughts on that. Now Anders put this out here. I saw what you put out there, Anders. I can't find it in my what's it called, but I'm gonna read it from here. It says founders members can upgrade to the new GeForce Now 3080 membership at no risk. You'll keep your founders for life benefits as long as you remain in good standing on any paid membership plan. Okay. So if that's in the FAQ, then that's cool. So if what that means is that, and I wish I could find Anders' comment on the damn thing. Where the hell is it at? If what Anders just posted is true, or if what that means, I ain't gonna say it ain't true, but if what he posted means that if I don't like this, I can go back to my grandfathered founders, then that takes down a barrier. But I'm still waiting on Storm. Like I said, I got to know that stream quality is magnifique. Because like I said with Far Cry 6, I mean, 60 frames per second are important to me, but I can't have the stream quality be poo-poo. You know what I'm saying? So I want to see the stream quality. I got to see it. Meaning, I don't see a lot of ghosting. I don't see a lot of, I don't see a lot of soft colors. I don't see blurriness, bad draw distances. Like, if the stream quality off of this new tier puts Stadia to task, okay, there you go. But I got it, because I don't need 4K. I've always said that. I don't need 4K. What I want, though, because I can deal with 1440p. I don't need 4K, but I'd rather have them frames. But I gotta have that good stream quality. So we'll see. And your mama knows. Now your mama knows is in the house. Anthony says, one thing that pulled me into Stadia is that it was cost effective. I stated as a free platform, and once they've upgraded, the upgrade would also be free. So to pay $200 for 6 months would be crazy. Well, it's $100 for 6 months, but it's $200 a year. And that's my thing. To pay $100 a year for the average Stadia gamer is a no-go. It's a no-go. So that's why when you see these talks out there, Stadia's dead. This is shooting from the hip. Because again, and it's not pivoting from facts. It's just people pounding their chest doing cloud platform wars instead of console wars. And it should be ignored for the most part. What it does do, though, is it does put a significant risk to people, like I said, Project Storm. And I don't like talking for people, but he wouldn't doubt it. He wouldn't doubt it. A word that I'm saying. It puts people at risk like Project Storm, who has some angst about him being one of these leading edge players, right? That is seeing the diminishing role that 60 frames per second is having on games. Even if it is temporary, it's still a risk because you're not saying anything. You're not using your savviness to explain to us if this is a temporary thing. You're not saying anything. Now, for people like me, I follow data, I follow stats, and I got everything. It's not a big worry to me. People like Storm, though, which there are enough, a significant portion to where if too many of them say, you know what, I'm not paying $200 a year and getting Stadia Pro, you might see them fully convert. That's the risk that this takes. Now again, why is that a risk? Is again, it's your hardcore people that do some of the most heaviest lifting in promoting your product. So if your hardcore people are abandoning left and right because of this new tier, that's sending a signal to people that are observing this. Oh, well, this must be that damn good. Let me go over there and let me try it. Those that are on the fence. The people that are not on the fence are people like Anthony, who make up the majority of the Stadia community. I mean, the Stadia gamer. So Stadia is going to be fine, and Amazon's going to be fine. And I would even argue xCloud is even going to be fine. They'll be fine in the regards as far as their player base is concerned, but you lose a heavy promotion tool in your hardcore gaming community, which over time is going to diminish returns. So there is a risk here. I'm not going to sit here and say there ain't no, even though it doesn't risk the core demographic coming up, there is a risk, and I got to be cognizant of it. And my suggestion would be, but who am I, right? just someone with 25 plus years of Fortune 500 experience, or 20 plus years of Fortune 500 experience, negotiated some of the biggest deals in the world. But I digress. Saved some of the biggest client accounts in the world. Multiple multi-million-dollar lawsuits where I came and testified, gave depositions, and pulled the company from the brink of disaster. But I digress. My suggestion would be, you gotta turn up the juice a little bit. You do. And if you can't turn up the juice fast enough, then you gotta come out and you gotta say something. In so many words, hey guys, Stadia, we know that we got a hardcore enthusiast wing of leading edge players that are just seething at the mouth for more great leading edge technology. You'll definitely want to stay tuned, as we don't have an immediate date yet, but coming to the Stadia platform is more engaging, more envelope pushing results in technology. Just stay tuned and can't wait to release this for you all. That's it. Something in that realm. I just made that ish up. We have no timeline or whatever, so we don't, keep your expectations under wraps as far as this happening. These changes aren't around the corner, but we definitely want to assure you that changes are coming nonetheless. Stay tuned to these spaces or that space as we continue to talk our normal upgrades for more updates. We can't wait. That could hold people over. But you're not saying anything. So that's why it's a risk. So if you can't produce right now, which I completely understand, you got to say something. I've always been in the camp that Google is too quiet. And we talked about this yesterday. And it has to do with this current structure. Its current structure is for Stadia isn't the most lending to this type of stuff that I'm talking about. But somebody has to say something if they want to avert that risk. Not a danger, but a risk. All right. With that said, we're going to close the poll because we're going to go to the final portion that we're going to whip through. And right now, as the poll is, as we close, we had a lot of votes. We're going to let those results pop up. All right. The question was, do you plan on getting new 1440p, 120 frames per second tier of GFN for 6 months at $99? 56% of you said no. 43% of you said yes. And that was with 81 votes. And keep in mind here that the majority, the people watching here are hardcore gamers. So if it's that split with those many votes for hardcore gamers, that tells you that this isn't a danger for Amazon or Stadia. It's still great for GFN. They can occupy the same space and same time. This can still be great and fantastic for GFN without it being a danger to Amazon or Stadia. You understand? So this is where it's at. Okay. Oh. All right. So let's talk about New World. Jesus. Now this is where our rhetoric, Jesus Christ. To me, this is bigger. And this might persuade me. Now, as far as me, I'm willing to risk the $50 now. Because I was looking at New World. And I was like, damn, there ain't no codes for it anywhere. Like, you can't find no New World codes anywhere. But now that it's on GeForce Now, I'm willing to give it a shot too. So I might come out of pocket for this. But if this isn't a shot down the bow, it says GeForce Now members have access to 1,000 plus games or more. Every GFN Thursday member, oh my God, I can't even read this. See, this is where our rhetoric comes back to bite us in the rear end. Google doesn't care about Stadia because Outriders has been given back to the publishers, to the developers to publish. Google don't care about Stadia because this, that, and the other. Google don't care about, and all those games that y'all belly ached about, at least they were made available on the platform. But my God, my God, my God. To see this hit GFN before it hits Luna, all I can say is I hope it's coming to Luna soon. I hope that it's coming to Luna soon. And this is why we got to be cognizant of what we say. If I had a conversation with somebody, this was an interesting conversation. And what the person said was, in so many words, well, in regards to the PNTS Network article where we did, statistically, when it came to how we rated Xbox, we had Xbox at a fat goose egg across the board where we forgot MLB 21. And what it was is that Xbox was only a 0 and 1 litmus, and it was 14% and 17% in other litmuses, where respectively Stadia was at 50 and 57. So it wasn't a big deal as far as the underlining point in the gap. But it needed to be corrected, and it was corrected. So I was having a conversation with somebody in regards, and there was a small, we addressed it in our Let's Air It Out 2 video. You can go check it out if you want more details on that. We were addressing this pocket of people that felt like, oh, we got something now. MM2K, who is always getting on journalists about something. Now we got something against him. He didn't put 17% in when he said he had 0, even though it didn't change the underlining point. And what was said to me was, how does it feel that now the same thing that you do has happened to you? So they basically acknowledged that there was a lot of hoopla made about the article. Not legitimately. All the hoopla that little pocket was making wasn't legitimate. It was just made to quote unquote serve a point that something that they were trying to tag me as doing, I was doing. And to that I had said, no, you have a problem with typecasting everything and not looking at the specifics. When I look at an article and I see enthalasies, which I see all the time with Stadia, you would be surprised at the articles that I've seen written up. Because I get articles that I see that I can tell that a lot of you, even content creators, don't see. That's how I was able to find out last year that Stadia was averaging 1,000 new engagements a day, and how they went up 1,000% in the month of April when they released the free tier. To this date, you guys still haven't found that article. You know what I'm saying? So I see it in the tracking I get. Again, I didn't start doing this year or last year. I'm connected to people that report things at a grander scale, and they don't mind. They say, here, MM2K, here goes some of our tools. You can utilize some of it. So I see a lot of tracking and data and stuff like that. But I know where to ask because I analyze data on a regular basis. So when I go against inaccuracies, I'm going against an inaccuracy because it attacks an underlining point. So if you put an article out there that said, state that the thesis of it is, and again, thesis is your main point. For those of you that haven't been introduced to a thesis, but yet you write about articles or you try to debate points, that's something else that I feel like you got to look up. I had a high school teacher, Miss Dias. So fundamental in my understanding of this. She drilled that whole thesis thing in my head. And then when I extended my education even further, it was important for me. When you have a thesis that, for instance, is Stadia is too expensive, and in that article you say things like, and in order to play games, you have to be a Stadia Pro subscriber. I don't care if you gave 9 other points. The fact of the matter is that that's something, that's a paywall, a superficial paywall that you've illustrated, that you've orchestrated erroneously, that could make a big difference in people's engagement. That's why I attack a singular portion, because it's core for an overall theme. If you list 100 games and the price of those 100 games are correct, still the fact that you're telling people as soon as you go through the door, you got to pay a pro subscription, even to play anything on Stadia, that attacks the core narrative. So of course I'm going to pull that out. But in the example that we were addressing, which was the article, Xbox going from 0 to 17%, when Stadia is at 50, 54% respectively, that doesn't attack the core narrative. Does it need to be addressed and fixed? Oh, hell yeah. And we gave our good friend, Makers of Chaos, to where, Makers, if you're listening, golly, I ain't never seen nobody like you. Bro, my brother, I live rent free in his head. I wish my family cared about me the way that you were. Man, you get a message to Maker Chaos. I don't know if I give him night terrors, if he's wet in the bed, but golly, brother, I guess I gotta send him a Stadia Premiere bundle so he get over it. My brother be all over social media. MM2K. Jack Tesla, MM2K, like golly. But it's his right, he can do it. But we gave a shout out to Maker Chaos for calling that out. But it didn't attack the underlining point. But here's what does. This is why we gotta be careful with our words. When you say things like, Google acts like they don't care about Stadia because they realize that, hey, our platform is niche. We're no longer building on SG&E. There's really no point of us holding on this game that could have further saturation elsewhere. Here, you have it. Just continue to support us here. And hopefully, in that way, we'll reward you for being willing to support us up front. You know? You can't say things like that and then see Amazon allow what happened today and it is not available. Oh, my dear Lord. Ben's at it again. Hey, Ben, I see what happens with you. I had this argument, brother, you don't kick the tires on your stuff too much. Oh, hold on. I did that wrong. Destiny 2, Stadia. Lord Jesus, Ben. Ben, you're a smart guy. Ben, this it's frustrating to see this because, Ben, you're a smart guy. Ben, here goes the link. Lord Jesus Christ of the Latter-day Saints. Go launch Stadia from that and watch you can do it without paying. Now, you can make the argument that, hey, it's too challenging to do that. But Ben, but with PWA, did they not move away from mobile? Okay. And I know you've seen our story where the overwhelming majority of the Stadia populace engage on Stadia via PC or on PC and TV or whatever. So why wouldn't they use PWA? But arguing that they don't know and then that it's not available are two totally different things. You see how you're not even playing semantics, you're trying to blur the lines. You can make an argument and say, well, MM2K, I get that point, but it's still too difficult to get to log into Stadia free of charge. Then that's a totally different argument from what those articles are making, Ben. The articles are saying you can't do it at all. See, what it looks like, Ben, is that you're blurring the lines purposely to validate negative Stadia sentiments. You got to put things in its proper bucket. If your argument is, well, it's too difficult on mobile to engage in Stadia, then that's a different bucket from the article. They shouldn't be talked about in the same vein. Or if you're going to talk about them chronologically, say, yeah, MM2K, that was a false statement, because it is false. But it still is too difficult to engage Stadia for the non-suspecting. That's different. But they're out here putting articles out here that say you can't do it at all. No, it doesn't matter. It's not factually correct. It's not. That's the thing. You want to pivot too much from a perspective. You can't assume that every reader is unaware. If you're going to talk absolute, better yet, this is the best way to say it. If you're going to talk absolutist, Ben, then it has to be absolutist. It has to be actual across the board. So you can't use terms like no way if there is a way. What you do then to highlight your point, which is valid, is you still discredit that and you say, but still, it's too difficult for the average gamer to find how to do this free of charge. And that's how you do it, coming down the middle. It doesn't matter that all gamers don't do it. Saying that it doesn't happen at all is an absolutist term. This is where the disconnect is, and I'm glad this is happening live on air. This is where the disconnect is. When we're talking heads, we can't speak in absolutist terms and validate things that speak in absolutist terms when they're wrong. Like, I can't make the argument, well, I'm not changing Xbox from 0% because the gap is still big in it, so therefore 17% still feels like 0%. No, it was wrong. It needed to be changed and addressed. You can't sit there and validate things that are inaccurate. What you do is you say, there's a point to be made derived from that, but it's still wrong. But here goes the point that can be made that's derived from that. See, you're trying to have your cake and eat it too. You're still trying to validate false information, which isn't right. And still and then validate it by saying, but they have a point. No, it's wrong. It's wrong. It's wrong. That's it. Your point is valid, but it's separate from that wrong article. The article is wrong. There's no nuance to it at all. You're trying to create nuance that doesn't exist. It's wrong. It's wrong. It's wrong. It's wrong. See why y'all wouldn't even want me on your show anyway? These are just fundamental things that I've grown up with, that when I look at the current climate of journalism and how we cascade these thoughts, it's astounding. It's wrong. It's wrong. It's wrong. They said there's no way for you to get to Google without paying for it. That's wrong. I'm showing you on the screen right now. Ben, don't do this. Don't be this stubborn. Ben, you're too stubborn, but you're too smart for this. Ben, it's wrong. It's wrong. It's wrong. Can y'all see this? Now, I'm just throwing theatrics out here because this is fun. And I'm about to have to go on live. I'll be on for another 10 minutes. But y'all see this out here? You see how stubborn this guy is? Unless he's trolling me. And I hope he's trolling me because he's too smart for this. I know Ben's too smart for this. It's wrong. It's wrong. It's wrong. It's wrong. What you do is you make another point derived from that and say, even though that was wrong, here's what's right. Here's my point from this. It's too difficult. Even though there is a way, it's too difficult to discover that way. There is no way has a definitive meaning. You can't say something is wrong definitively is right. It's wrong. It's wrong. It's wrong. It's wrong. Ben, now you're trying to play games. I didn't say you said it. I just said that you're right. Yarum, your eardrums aren't bleeding out, but your ass is still here. What I'm saying is the article is wrong that I'm referencing to. And you're trying to validate that article. If an article says there is no way to get to Stadia without having to pay, it's wrong. It's wrong because here's why it's wrong. Let's just say if in order for you to first initially engage with Stadia, you have to pay. Let's say if there was no link than what I'm showing you on the screen. If there was no way. Let me play devil's advocate and falsely concede to the point that you're trying to make. Is what you're telling me that if I cancel my pro subscription, I don't have access to my games? Because that's what those articles were hinting to. They're saying there's no way that they're saying that Stadia works like GFN. GFN's paid tier. That in order for you to play your games, you have to pay a subscription, then buy your game. And in order to stay engaged, you still got to pay a subscription. That's what the articles were saying. So even if I falsely concede to your point, it's still wrong. It's wrong, it's wrong, it's wrong. So then why are you saying that it's not wrong, Ben? What are we having this conversation for? See, now you're trying to back up because now you know that you've lost the argument. This is why y'all don't want me on the show. This is why you can't have me on the show. Because this is what you get 24/7. This is what I am. I'm sorry. I am what I am, what I am. Why are we even having this conversation? You were trying to validate this, but they're not wrong. I just told you several times over, your point is accurate. Your point is accurate. That it is too difficult. I agree with you 1,000%. But when I referred back to the article, you said, well, no, that's not wrong because the average reader, you're going off an average reader and all this other stuff. And it's all in the chat, Ben. You can't backtrack, buddy. You can't backtrack, bucko. Okay, I only got 5. Yes, Ben, it's in, look in the article. I mean, look in the chat, Ben. What was your purpose of bringing up the article? What are we even having this back and forth for? The moment that I said that your point is right, the conversation would have been over. You tried to validate the articles that were wrong and said they weren't wrong. Am I crazy, y'all? Anyway. The internet never goes away. That's why I got this chat popped up here for moments just like this. I also got it popped up here on the screen instead of it just being only on YouTube. Excuse me. So, as far as New World is concerned, and the fact that it's not on Luna before it's on GFN, you got to be careful in the words that you're saying. If you're saying GFN, if you're saying, if you're saying that Stadia doesn't care about, or Google doesn't care about Stadia because they let people get certain IPs back, because again, they're not going to, at this point in time, they're not going to publish IPs. They're just saying, look, just support us, and we don't want you guys to, this is a great game, so maybe it can, if it, being that we're not really focused on individual content or exclusive content, maybe you guys can flourish with this game elsewhere. Being, if you're going to argue that Google doesn't care about Stadia because of that, what does this say? What does this say? Now I'm going to argue and defend. I'm going to do something that a lot of people may think is out of my character, but they don't listen to my content on a regular basis. I'm going to defend Amazon Luna. I'm going to say that the reason why Amazon Luna doesn't have this on Luna yet is because there's a standard of quality that they want to hit with the game. Maybe a standard of quality that GFN just doesn't care about. There's a standard of quality they want to hit. And until they hit that standard of quality, they're not going to release it. But at some point in time, they can release it. This is proof to it. Processes are, in some instances, somewhat similar to where there's not the heavy lifting and development you got to do on like you do with Stadia. I would argue that there's a little bit more tweaking that you got to do on the Luna side, or that's done on the Luna side. And in general, me personally, if it wasn't for all the noise on the periphery, I wouldn't say that this was bad. But it's bad for those that tried to use arguments of the similar vein to attack other platforms, particularly Stadia. If Google don't care about Stadia, using that logic, Amazon must hate Luna. I mean, can you imagine if even Pixel Junk Raiders never released on Stadia? No, that wasn't it. I don't know. Let's just say if Jade Raymond did make a game and they didn't give her the rights back, but instead of releasing it on Stadia, they put it on PlayStation. Can you imagine that? Let's just say before the team was dissolved, they did make something, and it was on PlayStation. Oh, Stadia would be torn a new one. So let this be a cautionary tale to for those that again shoot from the hip, that do so just trying to be negative about Stadia, just because they personally feel a certain way, that your words will come back to bite you when you don't hold the same litmus across the board. I'm not saying, just say something here, say something. No. The outrage that was proclaimed when Stadia allowed Outcasters to be given back to Splash Damage in other games. That same outrage should be urged. That same outrage and more should be expressed about this. To me, it's no problem. But again, when you put certain words out there, they have to stand the test of time, not just for your favorite platform, but across the board. Okay? All right, with that said, I got to get out of here and get my wife. Y'all know I'm 6 minutes late from even leaving. So with that said, I appreciate all of y'all. Thank y'all for coming through. Of course, it was always a lively and lovely ongoing. We got articles coming up. I got a video that's going to come up on PNTS Network. So stay tuned for that. And I might have a quality series game coming up. We'll see. But until next time, have a wonderful gaming day. Peace.